How's it going, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your day. Welcome to the yearly tradition of me counting down my top 10 or top, in this case, 7 games of the year. I think last year I had 6 original games I played on the PlayStation 4. This year we bumped it up all the way to 7, so that's nuts. Anyway, in my opinion, 2016 for the gaming industry was just kind of meh, kind of underwhelming. It 2015 was a lot better. It had a lot more consistent, awesome, huge games, but it's definitely better than 2014. 2014 didn't have many big standouts. Like the only ones I can remember even from 2014 of really high quality were Wolfenstein and Dragon Age. But that being said, the qualifiers, of course, to hit this list are games I had to play on the PlayStation 4. There were some games I played on other platforms, like my 3DS and my PC, Doom, Overwatch, and Pokemon Sun. Those would have landed somewhere in varying slots. Doom probably would have had number like 3 or 2. But I didn't play it on console, besides the multiplayer beta you see here, so it's not going to hit the list. Anyway, guys, without further ado, these are my top 7 games that I enjoyed on the PlayStation 4 this year. So coming in at number 7, we have a game that I just kind of had a hard time finding the fun in. For the record, I am glad that Mirror's Edge, a pretty cult classic game, did manage to get a sequel. I think we need more games, more cult classic games that are high quality, despite how well they sell. They need sequels. Half-Life 3. Anyway, unfortunately, the follow-up to Mirror's Edge has a pretty thin story besides the last couple hours. New mechanics that are totally just gimmicks and stiff. And an open world that somehow feels really restricted and just doesn't have many traversal options. In fact, the City of Glass, it's kind of like a circle that you should be able to wander around the inside of it, but instead you can only run around the rim of it, the edge. No pun intended. But also, let's take a second to acknowledge that it is the once a year game that's an open world running at 60 frames, which is something I really like to acknowledge because those don't come around very often, and I think games like that should be rewarded and recognized. But unfortunately, that alone is not going to save the game. It's not going to make it more than something I play when I'm bored and just want to waste time. It's like the level of immersion and fun I have when I'm playing a mobile game. I hate to say that, but when I play this, I have about as much fun as playing a mobile game. So like I said, I think the final 2 hours of the story were the best. Those were decent. I actually got kind of invested after a little bit of a plot twist, but besides that, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, just one you might want to skip until it's on sale, which I think it was on sale during the winter for like 12 bucks. So maybe if you're interested in parkour, pick it up when it's on sale. I'd recommend it there, but wouldn't pay 60, wouldn't pay 48 bucks for it.
Here goes.
And coming at number 6, we have Telltale Batman. Oh look, Telltale got their hands on another hugely popular property and adapted it before making The Wolf Among Us Season 2. God damn it. Anyway, with Telltale Batman, we pretty much got what we bargained for. It's a decent, passable adaptation of The Dark Knight that mostly manages to give us an original take on my favorite superhero, but let's be honest, that wouldn't be the case if a corrupt Thomas Wayne were not part of the picture. It's like the game is just passing the border of mediocre into average. It didn't make me care about much of the characters who I didn't already care about, like with previous lore and adaptations, and the Joker was the only one who I really kept my eye peeled on and really kind of cared to pay attention to. I can only remember 1 or 2 interesting set pieces, and the game engine is still glitchy and laggy, even though it's a new game engine. Like, this is Telltale Tool version 2, and it's just as bad as the first one was. But despite this not being Telltale's best effort, I'm pretty sure it's still going to get a season 2. For better or for worse, only the biggest brands in Telltale get a season 2, like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and not the really creative ones like The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands. It's really a shame. Regardless, I hope they really make good use of the Joker with Season 2 because they've set him up to be a pretty damn good villain so far. I'm interested to see where they go with the Joker. So Telltale, impress me.
Sure, but you're gonna have to come to me.
Number 5, Watch Dogs 2.
In the old neighborhood?
So would it be bragging if I said I kinda called this one? For one reason or another, it seems like Ubisoft has a habit of releasing a superior sequel about 2 years after the original. But Watch Dogs 2 is not just a more polished version of a 2-year-old game, it's almost completely a different beast. Watch Dogs 2 has fun with its energetic characters and its colorful city, the way its young cast would themselves, right? It knows what needed refinement from the original, like the driving, the hacking, puzzles, and more hackable objects. A lot of games try to get your emotions riled up with a scenario you have seen before, like a character you're supposed to care about dying in a tragic way, which, yeah, it does happen in this game, but Watch Dogs 2 goes a step further and it brings out the anger in people by dealing with very new and relevant problems with our society. Consumer privacy invasion, targeted advertisements, and just overall corporate control of the people. It mixes perfectly with the rebellious nature of our young heroes, or should I just call them white hat hacker defenders, if I use that term correctly. The holes I can poke in the game hold it back from like taking the number 4 spot. For me, it's in the core design of a typical Ubisoft game, so it's a big open world, ton of icons, nothing really shocking or innovating. The shooting is maybe a little bit more slippery than it should be, and the game needs me to hold down a button to do everything like run, upgrade my shit, or activate a hack. Gaming industry, please stop wasting my time like that. Please stop making your games artificially longer. I'm not going to hit buttons by accident, I promise you. Those issues aside, I feel very comfortable recommending Watch Dogs 2 as a fun open world time waster. Number 4, Battlefield 1. So BF1 is a breath of fresh air to a genre that absolutely needed one. For the last 3 years or so, give or take, the AAA PvP multiplayer market has been totally saturated by sci-fi settings with jetpacking, huge make-believe guns, and fate of the world is in danger kind of plotlines. And although I don't think that kind of game is automatically bad, we'll talk about Titanfall 2 later, I do believe having the market lack variety is a bad thing. So this year DICE decided to come out swinging with a title that is a PvP game set in the past, and in a war we don't see very often in games. If you ask me, I would tell you DICE made the best of their setting to make a fun, gritty, balanced experience with a good campaign to accompany it. It has great gun variety. The strongest elements of the game, in my opinion, is the gun variety. Great sound effects as in graphics, mostly good level design, and the best reason to ride a horse ever in a video game, even above Metal Gear 5. If you want to see a more multiplayer game set in real locations instead of some make-believe future-y war, I strongly recommend you go pick up Battlefield 1. Just please don't buy the season pass. So I'm afraid I wasn't able to get any clips of Dark Souls 3 because of the weird, unfinished nature of my playthrough of it, so this is going to be a clip of Dark Souls 2, but I do in fact mean Dark Souls 3, and this is kind of a spoiler of the ending of the game, so if you don't want spoilers of Dark Souls 2, then I would go away now. But anyway, for the fourth or fifth time, From Software has done it again. Dark Souls 3 is a large, beautiful, difficult, and complex game, and it's so complex I'm pretty sure I don't understand about half of the weapon combinations. You may have noticed in my playthrough I haven't partaken in the weapon arts as of yet, but regardless, Dark Souls 3 is a sequel that knew what its franchise fans wanted. Dark Souls 3 is basically the love child of the first game in Bloodborne, taking some of the best elements from the games and making a bitter but appealing lemonade from it. When life gives you lemons, you make bitter lemonade. I love the combat of Dark Souls. It's better than ever in my opinion. Same goes for the level design and the creatures. It's engrossing. I'm also happy that the game is longer than Bloodborne, even though it makes it difficult for me to complete my little let's play of it. There aren't too many holes I can poke in the game. It's just very good for what it is. It's a challenge. It's a dare. It's a test. If you don't mind sustaining fun for difficulty, go pick it up. Number 2, Titanfall 2. I had a hard time trying to decide if this would take the number 2 or 3 spot, but eventually I decided to go with the title I had the most consistent fun with, and that was definitely Titanfall 2. Comparing Dark Souls 3 to Titanfall 2 is like comparing apples to lemons, by the way. They're just completely different experiences. Like I said earlier, Titanfall 2 is not too much different from many other sci-fi PvP games that we've received over the last few years. It's not getting many points for originality from me, but what I will give it points for is being the near perfection of that familiar formula. I've had more fun with this game than Black Ops 3, Blacklight Retribution, Destiny, and Advanced Warfare pretty much any time I've played. It's balanced, it's fast, and its customization gives you more noticeable variety than most of the aforementioned games. Bounty Hunt mode is one of my favorite multiplayer modes in any game, encouraging teamwork through killing players, bots, and titans, and then having to get away with it by depositing your money. It's absolutely awesome. It's a complete package that I can recommend for any PvP gamer knowing he or she will get plenty of high quality hours out of it. My only big complaints are that the campaign gives us yet another protagonist who just forgot his personality at home. The progression system locks away gameplay changing items until hours and hours of play, which is a trend that needs to die in the industry. And the grappling hook is not available to every pilot. It's really weird. It's really strange that the hook is pretty much the biggest new feature of the game, but accessing many areas of the maps are dependent on you having that hook. But you can only have the hook if you choose it over 6 or 7 other different abilities. But regardless of those flaws, Titanfall 2 is my favorite multiplayer FPS of the year, and I hope it has a popularity resurgence like Rainbow Six Siege or Warframe did. And let's not forget, this game has free DLC on the way. Hashtag keep Titanfall 2 alive. It is awesome. And coming in at number 1, we of course have Uncharted 4: Thief's End. No big surprise, my favorite game of the year is the one I put the most hours into. Pretty sure about that depending on how much I played CSGO. Not really positive, but regardless, Uncharted 4 satisfied me both in single player and multiplayer. Single player is pretty much what you would expect from Uncharted, but this time it kind of switches around character motivations a little bit. Some spoilers to come here, just a warning. So, I thought it was really engaging to see Nathan evolve from the guy who would stop at nothing to find the treasure to the guy who knew to cut his losses and go. And seeing Nathan and Elena driven apart by the promise of fortune was great, since it used to unite them instead. Sam and Nate being together was like a slightly younger Nate looking inside the mirror, and their chemistry just worked. And I'm glad Sully was still the lovable old teddy bear we know and love. And I'm happy the franchise also kept their tradition of not killing any of the good guys. Hey, it was also nice to see a bad guy get away for once. Now we know she's going to be in the DLC. As always, the campaign was beautiful, lighthearted, and had some great set pieces, but Uncharted 4 also managed to mature the story without making it dark and hopeless. All this is great, but I still stand by my opinion that it's not quite the best Uncharted. That honor still belongs to Uncharted 2. Uncharted balanced its elements of shooting, cutscenes, platforming, and puzzles perfectly, Uncharted 2, and while Uncharted 4 does it well, there's just too much climbing to say it has better pacing than Uncharted 2. As for the multiplayer, which you know I enjoy since I've made one video per day since release, I think it's fun and takes some of the best elements of the single player and translates them to multiplayer, despite not being a very original offering. The multiplayer really puts your reflexes and ability to choose and move between cover to the test. And if you can outmaneuver your opponent, it probably won't matter what weapon they have. The loadout system is awesome with a ton of perks and mods to choose from. Are you not good with a grenade or C4? Spend the points on a quick reload mod instead. If you're confident in your shooting and reflexes and don't need perks to help, then give Eldorado some more damage. And the game is updated impressively often for a primarily single-player game, and that shows no signs of stopping before spring, according to their multiplayer roadmap. I only wish that netcode was a little bit better. Myself, and I'm sure many more people, get shot unfairly after I'm clearly safe behind cover. But Uncharted 4 is one of the best games available on the system, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who has played the previous 3 games. And there we have it. About 2 weeks late and $1 short, those were the PlayStation 4 games I had the pleasure or displeasure of playing this year. I really wanted to thank you guys for checking out this video so far down the road, especially since most of us, myself included, want to forget 2016 just ever happened. It was pretty bad in most areas of my life, but it was pretty solid in my YouTube hobby. I really stepped up my game this year with some professional mics, 1080p 60 capture cards, custom banners and thumbnails, and fancier descriptions as well. I'm happy to say the end is nowhere in sight for me, and my recording time just becomes more and more available and better. I hope to see you all soon for an exciting 2017 full of games I need to finish, like Dark Souls 3 and Minecraft, more Last of Us, and the start of exciting new games like the Crash Bandicoot remaster and Red Dead 2. Thank you all for being the best community, the best little community on YouTube, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Take it easy.